So it is Saturday morning, uh, January 11th, in the year 2025. And even though I'm creating this video on Saturday, this video will not be shown on YouTube until sometime Sunday morning. So I looked at the PNC's press conference. The party leader was at the head table, Aubrey Compton Norton, along with his economic advisor, Elson Lowe. As usual, the most exciting part for me at these press conferences are the question and answer segments. And just like the PPP's press conference, that too did not fail to disappoint me. However, I wanted to focus on Mr. Gordon Mosley. I can't remember when last I heard Gordon Mosley asking especially a lot of questions at the PNC party leaders press conference today. I would normally expect, surprisingly, he was absent today, Adam Harris. Adam Harris always the first person, if not Dennis Chabal, but most times Adam Harris to ask questions. Anyhow, I was focusing on Mosley asking the party leader about around this time. This was an election year, and he was trying to ask from the leader whether he was battle ready for the game. The party leader said yes, they're ready. They are already mobilizing to take the fight to the PVP. The question I wanted to hear mostly querying from the leader was about James Bond. But most of you who follow social media would know what James said in terms of President Ali having a successful second term, and I know that did not go down well with a lot of PNC people. For me personally, I think it was James speaking as a businessman, just like how I listened to Pastor London from Linden speaking about being a businessman when he shook the hands of President Ali. So, what Norton is saying is that he knows Melanie very good, and you see at one point there was hardly a lot of people there, but he's saying that the videos we are seeing, the pictures we are seeing, it was staged, because he's saying sometime before they were not that among the people, and he felt the occasion was staged. I don't know, that's Norton saying that. He also went on to say that James Bond, who was a businessman in his own right, is free to say what he wants to say. I remember, I think, in some of my early political videos, I posted a photograph of James walking with the party leader when after he was elected as party leader. When he was especially going to different communities to visit, and James was step by step with the party leader. So, Aubrey Compton Norton says that whether it is a Odinga Lumumba, whether it's a Joe Hamilton, whether it's a James Bond, he's boasting that none of them had grassroots support. And as far as he's concerned, the PNC will be propelled and driven by its support base, regardless of any amount of defections. Because that's one of the questions Gordon Mosley was asking, if he's afraid that other people may come out and say things like what James Bond was saying. Well, like I said, we can all agree to disagree, but I think James was speaking from a businessman perspective. I saw in his post, James is saying that he has already opened or created 3 businesses, and he's giving advice to young Afro-Guyanese. In fact, he's telling young Afro-Guyanese to get into business, and he already assisted some young Afro-Guyanese to get into business. As I could remember him saying sometime last year that the Afro-Guyanese don't try to pin all your hopes into getting into the public service. The public service, especially if you're the lower level of the scale, it ends up to be near poverty. So James was saying get into business, but as we all know, getting into business is not easy. It's from Monday to Monday. Anyhow, this is a chance for you to see what the leader of the PNC, Aubrey Compton Norton, said to Gordon Mosley.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon Mosley.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir. Gordon Mosley, News Source. Mr. Norton, we're in an election year. Could you say whether your party has started to look at an election campaign plan and when we can see that being rolled out? That's one. And just yesterday, one of your former members of parliament endorsed a second term for President Ali. Are you concerned or are you worried that there might be others like him who might switch allegiance heading into these elections?
As it relates to the campaign plan, we have had a campaign plan over 2 years. We have recently made changes to it as we implement. There are a number of things that we have been doing as it relates to our campaign. We are going to begin training of our workers shortly. So we do have a campaign plan with a PR element to it and a ground game, which is necessary. Also social media game. So we have that. As it relates to, I assume you were speaking about James Bond.
Yeah.
Now, let me deal first of all with the activity yesterday. I do political work in Melanie. I know Melanie. There weren't many Melanie people there. It is evident that they do the normal thing of bringing in their crowd. That's the first thing that needs to be established. Secondly, the person that was talking before Bond, if you go through his history and what had happened with him in the police force as the community contends, you will understand why he ended up where he ended up. As it relates to James Bond, he's free to say what he wants. A few weeks ago, it was Mohammed. Now it's Irfan. The next time it might be us.
But are you concerned that there might be other persons within your party who might switch allegiance into these elections?
I am not concerned. The history of politics in this country has always had its Odinga Lumumba. It has always had its Joe Hamilton. And I don't see it as a concern. The only time something like that becomes a concern is if the people who are going have a support base. From the evidence, none of them that went before had a support base. The support base is a PNCR, APNU support base. And so I am not worried about people going. The nature of human beings, I always remember, let me make this point, I always remember one of the two names I just called, I wouldn't say which one, said to me when they live and look, me and die poor, I could get rich. That isn't going to change.